What's up? I'm Hype. I play games, make games everywhere, and we are in 2023, year of the rabbit. But I saw one of Shogun's TikToks where he went through all the games or some of the games he made in 2022. So I did the same and revisited all the games and animations that I made, and yeah, it blew my mind because I guess I don't keep track of, I don't know where I'm going or where I'm at or how many games and animations I've made. So I just like with HypeHype, I just make stuff. I just try to make it work, and then uh I don't know, do it again and then again and again. So uh yeah, I went through all of the stuff that I made. And here, you know what? Let me share it also on the chat, in the YouTube chat. And yeah, so I don't even know where I was when I made some of these games. So it's kind of cool. But the beginning of the year was this one, Cyberpunk Street Fighter. I remember this was just made. And like this, I believe this was the original. No, 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 this one was the original. And yeah, I went through this was just like a gorilla going through and just beating everything up that is in its path. I'm a fan of Cyberpunk, and if this loads, we can see it. Let's see what's up with the internet speed test. Okay. Yeah, so this was the original. And this is cool. This is like a simple tapping game. I'm a big fan of hyper casual games. So, whether single tap, swiping, whatever it is, I thought this was great. And I just went in and, hit the remix button and I just made it cyberpunk. And it's cool because a lot of times when I'm doing this, I, I'm trying not to break it. I have a hat very kind of similar like that somewhere over there. And there's a new feature that I really like within HypeHype 2 because I was able to look. Oop, let's go back a little bit. And you can actually check out the version history, which shows the dates and gives you all that extra information on the games that you make. So hit this. And again, this was released in November 2022. So the game was originally published in January, but still you can see that that's when it was published, January 4th. And then the next was this Hypnoid game, which I made, which was cool because this was like my first Hypnoid, Arkanoid, breakout type of game. And yeah, I have never made one of these before. And sometimes when you make something, you got to start somewhere. What's up, new boy? Welcome. And what's your secret sauce for making fun games? Great question, PT. Honestly, I think it's a two-step process. One, I just want to have fun when I make the game. Like that to me is the kind of the most important because when you're making a game, even the game jam today, I was going through like all these different ideas of what do I want to do, and some ideas were too big or too small. I gotta have fun while I do it. Like, if I'm not having fun while I'm making the game, while I'm play testing the game, then I'll just stop and try something else where I can, find that rhythm and flow where I enjoy the entire process. Because, yeah, making games sometimes you will run into bugs, you will run into things that don't work too well. And so doing something that you enjoy gets you through that process. And then I would say the next step is to, watch how other people play the game, get their opinions on it, which I need to do more because yeah, I was watching somebody play one of the games that I just released, and they had no idea how to. It's the one with the cubes. Basically, if you don't know how to play the game, it gets confusing. So watching other people play um, is a big step into improving the game. But so this was like my first breakout game. Uh, Learn the basic fundamentals of just how to put everything into place. And then when I came across some cool pixel art, I mean, I made a Goku breakout pixel game, and this because I already had made one breakout game, it was just an easy next step. And this again was a lot of fun. So I made multiple ones. Oh, I think I was jumping all around. So I made like a Captain America. Wolverine to me is the coolest, but for some reason he doesn't. I believe Iron Man has the highest place. Let's find it. So yeah, like I made I think like 60 something games with animations, like 72 total, give or take. Some of them are like levels, some of them but it it blows my mind because when I would make games for the App Store and the Play Store, like best I could do was like make a single game in 3 to 6 months, which is fine, and I learned a lot in that process and was also enjoyable. But like this is on another level to just make what 8 different pixel art breakout games. And I want to credit the guy who made this was Tebow. And we got loading. Oh man, my upload speed is 20 megabytes. That should be decent. Yeah, so yeah, Topo, this is his work. I found it online. And I do this basically with every game I make. I just do research on the Google. Recently, I've been using like Chat GPT to research, which is kind of cool and weird, and also use it for my videos just because it's a new technology. But you know, when you find something you think is cool, to just be able to take that and make a game, and then people can play your game, it's just a lot of fun, and it's always interesting to see like what people, you know, like gets more plays in terms of when it came to these pixel art. Oh, when it came to the pixel art, Iron Man gets a lot of play, which I suspect is because of Avengers. But for me, again, Wolverine is the cool one. Well, the coolest. So let's see, what other games did I make? And animations. Oh, yeah. This I remember this flippy gun. I made this. I think I was on the beach somewhere in Mexico, and this is where I learned it's really hard to make games at the beach because when you're at the beach, you kind of just want to be at the beach. So I don't make games at the beach anymore. But I had started this one. I want to say like a couple. I started this previously, but then sometimes when you're making a game, you get stuck, and then you just end up making another game. And I find that that happens a lot within HypeHype. Like I'll be working on multiple different projects and I'll start new ones. I will kind of almost finish some other ones. But the great thing is you can always go back to any of these games and just update them, make them better, even after you learn stuff. So that's kind of one of the coolest things that I've enjoyed in this process, and I'm trying to do it more where I go back to my older games along with making new games because yeah, it's just a cool process to see along the way. And so we got Cyberpunk Track 2, got about 17,000 plays, which is always cool. Let's see if I can't check this one out. So this one was a lot of fun because here you can add stuff that only you know about. I mean, you would have to explore this map and level, be able to find all this. And they say if you make a game, you are automatically an expert. Oh, crap. And yeah, that's why it's always important to let other people play your game and see where they get stuck so that you can make improvements. Uh, and yeah, I made this last year for the Global Game Jam. And the cool thing with this is if you touch the screen, no, this was for the Goku one. I did it for this one. So I made this, just a cool planet, new assets coming out all the time, and there was this Earth asset. So I set it up, made this, and then I made this as well. And the cool thing is if you go Super Saiyan, all the characters are dancing, and then they stop. Again, super fun to make, just adding particles. And this was probably one of my first experiments into having a node that turns objects visible versus invisible. So, and I use this all the time now in games that I'm making. So it's really cool to go back and just not only like see the progress of stuff that I've made from, basic simple animations to how I understand and can use these tools now very easily. Whereas in this one was probably one of the first times I experimented with it. So I kind of want to jump in a little bit. So here, this is where the button gets triggered, okay? And this causes a broadcaster. So there's broadcaster Super Saiyan and broadcaster normal. I think maybe there's like a toggle, okay? So here you see everything. I mean, we're in the logic on mode, you see everything, but if you select here on the headpiece, you can see that the headpiece is set to invisible. And I think this is one of the first ones where I did this in a hype. And I got the cool clothes. I think the shoes are boots. The pants are like leg curtains. This is like a bandana. The muscles. This was a lot of fun to make. Just playing around and doing something at the time I've never done before. I think I'm a sucker for trying to do things and see things and all of the above that I've never done, and then take a little bit and learn and yeah, make cool stuff. So a good example of a more recent game is this Trick or Treat game where when you play it, you can see different costumes. This game was a fun platformer that I made, and I kind of just spent a lot of time making this game. I find, I try to look at like time as a construct, or I don't know, just spending a lot of time because I always want to get so much done in a little bit of time, which is fair. I think everybody does. But then when you just spend a lot of time, forget what time it is, and just try to make something fun, you can make a whole world that a player can just walk all around. So here we can see this has the same concept that Goku going Super Saiyan had, which is these clothing options, which have the visible set to off. And then, we have a switch node that gets randomized and either turns the clothes outfit on or off. So looking at all the games that I made in 2022, games and animations, it's just always a cool thing to just see how you pick up little things that help you in one game or animation, and then you'll use it later, and then you'll just use it all the time. See. Okay, yeah, we got this Fall Dudes 2. That was the Fall Dudes 1. Okay, here we go. PT's asking, would you say that some of your hypes are inspired by real life events? Oh yeah. So one thing because I travel a lot, I'm lucky to experience different places, different cultures, different everything. And one of the things I always like to do is like go to museums. Again, it's basically just so I could see things I've never seen before, which is kind of can be difficult because I've seen a lot. So, but then, certain experiences you only, you get when you get them. And a good example of real life events is this game Beach Run. And this was about this time last year, I think, maybe or February or March. You know what? We can actually hit the version history. And yeah, okay, so like March 19th is when I made this game, and it looks like I made some updates back in October. So that's always cool. And I could probably remove the whip name in the game. It's got 70,000 plays, but this game 100% inspired. I have a video on YouTube. If you would like to check it out, check it out. I could probably make this game a little better, and I will go back and edit it. But because here you can see the players just dying, and we should do something so that doesn't happen. So yeah, so this is a little turtle named after what was the turtle? Valentina. When there's a place in Puerto Escondido, Mexico, where you can go to like a turtle sanctuary and save baby turtles. And everybody gets a baby turtle. You're not supposed to touch the baby turtle because the human oils give off some kind of pheromone that will increase the chances of the turtle not living a long life. I don't know. These are just what the turtle scientists tell me. Well, they told everyone. But the thing is the turtle had to cross this journey into the ocean. And it wasn't even that big. It was, let's say maybe it was like 10, 15 feet, or what is that, like 7 meters, 8 meters? I don't know what a meter is, but like not that much. But the turtle had to, wiggle its way there. And as it would go, pelicans would literally just, well, not, was it pelicans or seagulls? Seagulls would literally just come up, grab a baby turtle, and then like fly away. And it was intense. It was like, yo, here's nature, and nature doesn't care that you're an adorable baby turtle. Oh, so when I made this game, if anything touches the turtle, if you touch the ball, if you can run into a surfer. Basically, if you just go straight, there'll be a seagull that will kill you or will take you out. Uh, yeah. Hold on, let's get to the end. So I always try to take inspirations from all over the place, and I think it's just fun to see how many different games I've made. I think the biggest thing for me is I just never imagined to be able to make so many cool things, you know. Um, and that's the one thing I thoroughly enjoy with HypeHype is just making something. If I don't like it halfway through, I can just like shelve it and look at it later. And it's just it just it's like you can find the way to keep the momentum going. Oh, here's another boat bumper game. This game I made inspired by real life being on Xochimilco in Mexico, near Mexico City. There's just so many boats. I had to make a game of it. I just had to. And this is the game. It's not, it's just a fun, silly little game. And yeah, we got some TikTok trends over here. Got the jiggle jiggle dance. This one again, also very fun just to learn different ways of setting up intervals and, making a little animation of characters having a little dance. Just so many cool stuff. Probably the best choreograph ever. Thanks, Derp. Oh yeah, jiggle jiggle. And yeah. Got the Pokemon game. This was cool. Capybaras. Got to pet one of those. That was exciting. And yeah, people love capybaras. I never thought I'd see a capybara. And apparently they just hang out in the sun all day. Um, cool, cool, cool. So where is oh, and then the last couple of games from the World Cup, a lot of fun to make. I really enjoyed this one. The mechanic on this one I had in a game and then forgot about, and then I just used it later. So there's always a bunch of stuff when making games. And you don't even have to make games. You can make little animations in stores, and I'm gonna try to do some more of that this year. Year of the Rabbit. Maybe one with the rabbit. That might be cool. PT Jones, what about visuals? I noticed that many of your hypes have a unique ones, not to mention synth waves. So visuals, I just try to pay attention to the color palette. I really like I've been messing around with like a cartoon type of look. But there's so much you can do in the visuals of HypeHype. Not only the visuals, but the materials. So I like the cartoon effect. I just think it just looks cool. But I've seen other play games on HypeHype. Play games on HypeHype. If you see something you like, save it, go back to it, and check out the visuals. That's literally what I do. So if I see games that someone else who has more skills than me in terms of game mechanics, visual aesthetics, I will just look at that, save it, and then try to recreate it. And I think HypeHype changes the game on that, and it's gonna like redefine because um, it makes it not complicated to see how someone else has done something, and then you can try to recreate it in your own way. And yeah, the visuals again, I like the 2D or the cartoon effect, but there's just a bunch of cool stuff out there. So I would just say like play the games, and then you just learn a little by little. It gets a little bit better. Mess with the shadows, move the sun a little bit. Uh, yeah, just make something. You never know how it's gonna look. Like this one, I didn't know any. I didn't know that this would look this like this look to me. This looks cool. Like how the Earth is moving on the inside, and you got the grid on the outside. I just kind of like figured that out. Like, what if I take a disco ball and put it there? What would that look like? And it came out like this. One way to find out. But yeah, yeah. 3 to 5 meters. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so I think one of the coolest ones that I really liked was, and I want to do it again, is where is it? Where is it? This one. Fall Boys Popsicle. I have been seeing a bunch of people make cool stuff. Remixing, I mean, what dream what made the original? So shout out, like this game is great. And I'm still trying to figure out like multiplayer, and that's okay. But this game, so much fun to make, and I've mentioned it before. I created like a secret little jump back here. Like when you make the game, you can just add secret stuff, and these walls, like look how smooth that looks. When I was making this maze or this obstacle, I had no idea how to make it. I had none. So I just made one wall that you could not jump through. And then I made one wall that you could jump through. And I was like, okay, how do I randomize this? How do I switch it? So it's just it's like the concept, you just do piece by piece. But I think this is probably, top three of my favorite games because one, it's a multiplayer, and I've seen other people like just remix this one. And yeah, again, color palette looks great. Okay. Need more popsicles. Oh yeah, that reminds me at the oh. And so one thing I very much enjoyed about this was when you get to the finish, and I wanted to differentiate this in terms of names. So I called it like Fall Boys Popsicle. And I was like, what could that mean? And so here you just get popsicles falling from the crown. Like these little fun things that I don't even know if anybody notices, but I think it's cool. I made another level called Donuts. So, when you get to the finish, it'll be donuts. And if I make another one, I could just, you know, add your own spin to it with a small little thing like popsicle. Super fun. Okay, let's see. Um, Here we got Iron Man. Oh, yeah. So I think the Super Meat Boy one, this was a lot of fun, and these games are difficult. Like, uh, but just making games that I wouldn't usually make, And I believe this one was also for Game Jam. Oh, okay. I can see why this one's got the most plays because it's kind of the easiest. So I should, you know, me personally, I like making like hyper casual type of games, like games that are just simple and fun to play. And something like this ball bumper has that effect. Like it's not too difficult. You can play it quickly, you can play it slowly, but it's got the similar layout. And the physics on here look cool. And when I was making this game, I remember I had so many different objects. The frame rate was just like object would I would it would basically crash the app. And I find I do that all the time when making games in HypeHype. I'll just push the engine and the app to just like basically do more than it can handle to get a sense of what's going on. And so here, I mean, there is a lot. Like, not only is there a lot of objects in here, they're literally moving. Like, if you look in the background, because they're on kind of a wobbly object. So, like, just game wise, in terms of just how, oh, did I hit a, I must have hit a red. Just like how the physics looks and how it just moves. Like stuff like this just blows my mind. And so I like to make things that like push boundaries. Here we can see Brian, looks like your phone was lagging. I suspect that's because there's just way too much stuff going on here. And yeah, yeah, so that's like that's a good note for me. But when I originally made it, oh man, it was a hot mess. It was basically just like 100 times more tiny cubes. Um, and then like what was it? Watching, I think I was like watching Shogun's live stream, or I. Anyway, someone was talking about how the dynamic objects, if they are loaded into a hype, I I think it was you. Oh, I think it was Ryan asking the question, but like if the object doesn't move, then the object doesn't have physics. It could have been, I don't remember who, it might have been Yop. Oh, like here you can see the object right there is sideways, but it should be moving. But because nothing is moving, that object stays still. It's basically just like a deeper understanding of how physics work within HypeHype. To me, that stuff is fascinating. These were really fun. I like to push the physics too. Yeah, yeah, pushing the physics is, I mean, I do this all the time when making games. You just go to one extreme and then back to a non-extreme, and then you just kind of find the equilibrium of what works well. And um, just even understanding how the physics works, like if I don't know if you can see, but there's the first cube right in front of the ball isn't tipping over, but if I touch it, now it moves over, and that's because of how the physics are all set up in HypeHype. And knowing how that works helps you make a better game. Stuff like this. Um, see, this flying watermelon, I don't believe it took me 4 seconds to make this game. That can't be right. Flying watermelon took me less than 4 minutes. Okay, yeah, you know what? I actually think maybe it did take me 4 minutes. No, 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 not four. Maybe 4 hours. This data cannot be trusted. But this one, I think I just needed to take a break and make something super fun, super simple. Um, We got. I built a house out of bricks that you can blow up, and comments are filled with people with low-end phones complaining about the frame rate. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one where the house blows up and a meditating ping, golden ping lands on top of the house. I remember I was trying to analyze how that. Yeah, that one's cool. Like that's pushing the boundaries of like what can be done um, will lead to slow gameplay in some scenarios. And I think that's okay. That's okay because like setting up and like having all the objects on a screen, you just got to see how it goes little by little. And then if it does, you know, okay, this does a lot. And I think there's even a way to look at the frame rates in the game. I think like in the profile settings, but yeah, yeah, always good to keep that in mind. This game took me an hour to make, and I can't remember. But where was I? 7.6, 7.6. It's funny. I look at these sometimes, and I'm just trying to think like where was I? 7.6. I don't know. But this mechanic, I had an idea. Again, I like hyper casual games, so I'm always trying to go like simple tapping stuff. And there's a lot of things I wanted to do, like have it so that the money spawns randomly, and basically in my mind it's like this big complete game of what I want. And I was like, okay, let me first build the mechanic. Single tap, and you tap once, it moves in one direction, and you tap and you let go, and it goes in the other direction. Single tap, and I really enjoy this as a mechanic. But at the end, after making this, I didn't want I didn't want to make it. I didn't want to make it more. I didn't want to like perfect it, make it so that the money spawns randomly, and I can always go back and edit it. But honestly, I just wanted to see if I could make this mechanic happen. I made the mechanic happen, and that was it. And that's okay. But the things that I know now, if I wanted to, I could make it randomly be a different car, put it in different environments, using those visible and non-visible like toggling on and off that started learning with Goku in that Goku hype. So yeah. Okay. Um, what else? Oh yeah, yeah. So I have a video on YouTube, but this one of the things I really enjoy about this one, dodge and jump, made in under an hour. And yeah, I was in Lisbon, Portugal. And one of the things is I'm always like walking around looking for a place to like make a game or sit down and work, and it's kind of frustrating because I will spend a lot of time. I think it's just because I want to explore the world, but I'll spend a lot of time looking for a place to work because it takes. I'm trying to find the right vibe. But this game, I found a coffee shop. I sat outside. I think they were like filming a movie down the street. And I put my headphones on and I just like made this game based off of a game that someone else made many years ago. It's not you wouldn't even be able to tell that it's like a similar type of concept. But it is. It's got a very similar kind of mechanic, and yeah. So just seeing this game now, trying to get a high score. It's just oh crap. It's just fun to remember. This was all done outside of a coffee shop with mediocre uh, Wi-Fi connection. Yeah, I can't even remember if Lisbon has good Wi-Fi. I think I had I had a data plan. Yeah, it was like 2 weeks unlimited data for $20. Sounds good, but here in Manila for $10 you get 50 gigs. Every country's always different. But this was fun. It's got the cyberpunk theme. Oh, whoop. And again, this game is actually kind of difficult, so always trying to get the high score. You've got to cut it really close, I guess. Ooh, 31 second. Now let's see some of the comments. Immersion was entirely shattered to pieces once I fell in the lava. That's hilarious. Very addicting. Number two. Yeah, this game is it's meant to be tough. Please. Also, I updated Blink Cube. Oh, nice. And let's go. I wanted to check out that version history. So yeah. Oh, so this was in August of 28. Okay, I thought I didn't even know that. I saw that in some of your past streams, you actually challenge yourself to make a game in under an hour. That's quite the challenge. Yeah, it's a couple of, I think I did that last. I've done that. I've done that before for like videos. I know I think I did it last week on yeah, last week because it's no, was it? It might have been this week. Um, yeah, because it's Saturday. So yeah, either last week or 2 weeks ago, in under an hour, and those are usually like the very simple kind of. I've already made one level like it, so when you've already made one, making another one is kind of easier as opposed to like starting from something brand new as a scratch. So like if I wanted to make another Fall Boys, I could probably do it in under an hour, but I don't think the quality would be there. What did I make? I think I made this Shark Island parkour. And the cool thing of doing something like giving yourself a goal, even though in my opinion, oh wow, it's already got like 1,000 plays. That's kind of hey, we can see when I made this because the history is on there. So one, so this was 5 days ago. Okay, so I made this 5 days ago and it's got 1,000 plays. That's pretty cool. And yeah, maybe that's because I did that on the live stream. But it's that whole concept of just like challenging yourself and knowing that in the end, after the 1 hour, like like this game is simple because everything is already set up. You have the starting point, you have the game mechanics, you have the enemies, you have how the enemies work, So all the heavy lifting is kind of already done, and this is one of the coolest things about HypeHype is that when you hit the remix button, like you don't have to redo the whole timing mechanism, at least like for these specific games and how they're set up. So I could go in to any of these games that I've already made and try to make like a sequel. And I definitely do want to do that for the Fall Dudes. Maybe like switch up some of the characters because I always seem to use this duck. Well, the duck for two of them, and yeah, cool. But yeah, so a lot of great stuff. Can't seem to. Yeah, so thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll probably oh just keep playing some games and check me out on YouTube and the TikToks. I'll continue to make and play games all over the place and challenge myself along the way. And oh man,
All right. Thanks a lot, Hypey. That was an awesome segment. Awesome to hear about your games and your travels. I'm very jealous of your world traveling.